Now, let's talk about how to talk in business meetings. Should you crack jokes or not? Well, if you understand your audience, it's okay to crack jokes. You need to be a little casual, but without offending anybody. So, for instance, I wouldn't swear in a boardroom unless that's your brand, unless you put a lot of time in making content before and they're expecting it. If they are, then you're okay. But most of the time, as a junior salesperson, you're not going to want to swear. You're not going to want to bring up religion or politics. And if you do crack a joke, just make sure it's not edgy. Make sure it's not too edgy, because the problem with making edgy jokes is if they agree with you, you'll become their best friend instantly. But if they disagree with you, then they're going to hate you and they might not buy. So just be really careful, especially about the type of jokes that you're making. Then also, don't show off your knowledge too much, meaning if you're a marketer, don't talk in terms of ROI or even other acronyms that you think they're going to know, CPC, CPA, things like that. Don't show off your knowledge too much unless you define it afterward. Don't use acronyms and industry terms without defining them. Assume the client knows nothing. Even if they're the director of marketing in a major brand, don't say things that you think they're going to know without defining them. Another thing is talk like a boss. Be confident and be honest. Don't be wishy-washy. Commit to your statements and say your statements. All of your sentences should have an end. They shouldn't end in question marks. They should be confident. Next thing is ask questions if you don't understand. No need to be combative, but you can ask questions if you don't understand something. And then from a soft point of view, you can ask questions about their life. How's their family doing? Where'd they go for their last vacation? What are they planning to do over the weekend? Any big plans? Feel free to ask that kind of stuff. Build a little rapport with people. No need to stay completely on the ball all the time. Did they watch any movies? Are they watching any TV shows? Do they have anything? And then let them talk, but don't let them change tracks, right? The soft skills are not a replacement for sales skills. These come in the beginning of calls, at the end of the calls, but they're not meant to take you off the rails. Like if they mention they love a show, let's say they like, Mr. Robot, you might make a couple of Mr. Robot references throughout the sales process, but you're not going to let that completely derail you. You're not going to talk about Mr. Robot with them for 45 minutes. You might talk about it with them at drinks later to build rapport, but you're not going to be doing that in the room. And remember, when you're asking questions, what we talked about when it comes to thinking 2 levels deep. Ask new questions they might not have heard the answers to. Don't make a joke about how their name is stupid, because they probably heard that their whole life. Make jokes about other things that they might not have talked about before. Ask new questions that they're not going to have heard a million times in the past. And be genuinely interested in them and in helping them. Talk like an owner and become an owner. So fully embrace that their business is your business. If you were them, what would you be worried about? If you were them in a room with an agency salesperson, what would you be thinking? What were the questions that you would want to have answered? And make sure that you come across the right way. Small talk. Talk, but don't be awkward. Let's go through some small talk stuff. Do your research to find out about their interests. If they've posted about a sports team or they have favorite songs or anything listed on their social media, it's good to have an idea of that sort of stuff. But also, don't get into unnecessary arguments about religion or politics. For example, you may not be a fan of the Yankees, but you follow a different sports team, so you might not want to rail on the Yankees. But you could. The common factor is passion for competition and excellence. The team and the sport secondary. Try to find ways in. And a good salesperson is going to have a wide degree of interest and be able to come across as someone who loves sports or someone who loves video games and nerdy stuff. Like you'll be able to get that across if you really want to win this client over. Remember the names of the client and use those names often. If you have kids, you can also talk about how their kids are doing. If you don't have kids, most likely not good to talk about that. But if you have children, that can also be a good way in with clients that have families as well. So remember their names, remember their kids' names, use all that stuff often. So here is your homework. Spend 10 minutes researching your next prospect. Try to find out their favorite song and at least 3 things that you guys have in common. Look at their Twitter profile. Try to find their personal Facebook and Think about what type of person they are based on the image that they're projecting on social media. Are they projecting more of like an artsy image? Maybe they like artistic stuff. Are they promoting more of a super corporate image? In that case, maybe they actually like religion. I wouldn't talk about religion, but a lot of the super conservative religious guys also have things in common that you can talk about, family values, etc. So just try to figure out like where they are. That's your homework here. Spend 10 minutes researching your next prospect.